Alright guys, I want to show you how to use 3D Coat and how to work this particular program. If you sculpted stuff in ZBrush or if you sculpted stuff in Mudbox, let me show you how you can actually bring it into 3D Coat to actually re-topo it. Now this particular model is not symmetrical, so keep that in mind. I'll make a video later on talking about symmetrical models. It's pretty much the same theory, you just have to turn symmetry on or off. So what we're going to do first, we're going to go to our, let's go to re-topo for a moment, click it on, you'll see a couple things turn on, the menu will shift and change. These are all of our tools here that we'll be using. These are way cool. I don't really use these guys too much, but they can come in handy. They do have symmetry set up here, but you also have it up at the top when we start. But before we do that, let's go and bring our item in. So let's go into File, Import, and remember, switch it to re-topo, Import, and we want to go bring in Reference Mesh. We're going to pull in our trunk, OBJ, open. This guy I pull in with some more detail that I placed on the guy. You'll see he's really super hyper detailed. The nice thing about using 3D Coat is the models that come in can be pretty dense. So this is like a 30 million poly object. And it comes in pretty dense, and it kind of turns it into voxel information. It works really well. I don't prefer ZBrush's method with the Dynamesh when it caps it off, but you can also bring in your object without using Dynamesh and use subdivision levels, which I'll make a video on much later. Right now we're just going to focus on getting this silhouette in and then rebuilding it based on some of the detail, and then you can add that in your mesh. I'm going to show you how to do that. So now that we have him in here, we have a symmetry option. I'm going to turn on no symmetry for this guy because he's a tree and he's not going to be symmetrical. If you come across a symmetrical tree, it is fake. Yes, someone lied to you. Alright, so let's go here. We're going to go to re-topo again, switch that on. See the menu shift. With this setup, now we're going to use several different tools. One of the more powerful ones and fun to use is point to face. I'll show you how to use that. Next, I'll show you how to use quads, which is a really cool tool. From there, I'll show you how to split your edge rings, to move your vertices, and to slide your edges, and some of the things you have to look out for. Every once in a while you might come into a refresh issue and some of your point to faces might stay on there, but for the most part, for the newer version of 3D Coat, it's actually pretty solid. So we're going to go in here and start clicking. We're going to right click, and you can define the edges that you are going to start creating. And I'll do another second set down here, and you can determine their shape and size and what kind of angle they want. We can zoom in, and it navigates just like Maya. So I'm hitting the Alt key and I'm right mouse rotating, Alt key, middle mouse allows me to move back and forth, Alt key, and excuse me, I said right mouse, Alt key left mouse allows me to rotate, Alt key middle mouse allows me to do dolly, and Alt key right mouse allows me to zoom in and out. Sorry about that. It's my other right. Alright, so we go in here and I'll click this here. And I can click another one here if I want. Another one here. I probably don't have not enough, so we'll just put one more here, right there. So we get quads all the way down the path. And one more here. There we go. Keep it even. So now with that, I can actually move over these series of points in fours. And you'll see, even in irregular quads, you'll see it pop up. And what you can do is you scan over it, right click, and it will create geometry. It's pretty sweet. The new versions of ZBrush allow you to do this too. One reason I really do like using 3D Coat, I just really love their tools because they've had these tools around for a while. Some of the tools you'll see in ZBrush are kind of redundant, but if you want to keep it into one program, that's totally you, and I'll make a video on that later on. But for now, we're just going to keep it 3D Coat. It's a little bit easier to get a handle on, especially if you're new to ZBrush, and it's pretty slick and pretty nice to use. So I can create some more if I want, and again I just scan over and click. Pretty thorough. Now you can also use their quad tool. This quad tool is pretty nice because it goes on the edge and makes your quads quickly. And you'll see as you click, you'll see the dots turn up, and those are your building areas. And the nice thing about this, you can make your quad any way that you want, but you can also triangulate if you want. If you need a triangle, you can do so. So those can be tricky. You just got to make sure you click in the right order of operations. If you want to get out of this, just hit escape. And if you want to undo, just hit Control Z. Now, as I'm building this dead log, I kind of go in here and you'll see there's a lot of high poly detail. So if you want to capture some of that, we can also split our edge ring down there. And I can split one more down here if I need it. And from here, I can also move my vertices. We have the Move Vertices tool. So I can click on this vertice, move it to whatever silhouette and position I want. And you'll notice it hugs it really well. This little circle here is my little drop off here. This allows me to control it, and that's your radius control up here at the top. This allows you to be able to see the object. Now, if it's really big or really small, it might be very difficult to look at this. If it's really huge, you won't see your point, so you'll have to raise up your radius quite high. You can also control your lighting here, adjusting. You see, if my left mouse button, I can make it darker, or I can make it brighter, which is nice. I actually like to keep it bright. Then I can actually see my geometry so that my camera angle isn't dependent. Pretty nice. You can also adjust the primary light intensity here. And here you saw me adjust my ambient light intensity. So there's a couple things you can do. Also, you'll notice you can rotate your camera here. And you got a few other tools for zooming in and out. Literally, I just will use the Alt key the whole time. So if you need to slide an edge, you have that option too. So I can actually click on slide an edge. You can grab it and you can control click to grab a series of them. This allows you to slide it back and forth and put the position of where that edge is at. Pretty nice. And let me see here, you can also collapse. You can delete an edge. You can delete a poly. So if I need to get rid of that poly, I can. Or say this one sucks and this one sucks, I don't want it. It'll delete it just nicely for you. Go back to point edge, and you can define your hotkeys here in here, which is nice. You can customize the heck out of it just from the very beginning. Kind of cool. So again, I can click here, and you'll see it will get ready to build. I can click here, here. And so you can build this really fast if you want to. That's not too shabby. And allows you to rebuild that structure pretty quickly. In this particular case, I'm not using a lot of the automated stuff because he's very unique. But you can do that too if you want, and I can get into that a little bit more. But as you go to build this guy, the nice thing about this, we're in full control of how we want this to go down, how we want this to look, how we want this to feel. So I can go in here and put another point there and just roll my mouse over it. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Just be aware of that. What you can do is just try to put in the center of that object and right click. There you go. Put another point there, put another point there, and build this and build that and point there, and build that, and one more there and build it. Pretty cool. Look at that. Quickly get that built. And irregular quads it will handle, and there we can even put a triangle if we wanted to. Those can be tricky, but you can use a quad to fill that out. We do Control Z real quick, and we'll remove some of these faces. Gets a little weird in there. We don't necessarily want that pocket. So what we can do is, again, we can move our vertices to where we want them. You can even move existing ones that you've already carved up, which is kind of nice, and it'll stay on the silhouette. So sometimes I'll move them out of the way, or just do Control Z till they disappear. Move this here. Maybe move this guy over here. Move this over here. And one more over here. So this allows me to maybe capture that nice corner we got going on there, so it's a little bit better. All right, so once you're you just keep building this guy, keep knocking him out, and once you get him all ready to go, then from there you can export him, and you go to File, and you go to Export re-topo Mesh, and when you export him, just export him as an OBJ. Take him back into Maya, set him up for your scene, unwrap that bad boy, and you can even take him back into Mudbox or ZBrush and add some more detail, and then later on you can bake out a normal map if it is required for what you want. Alright, so that was a quick rundown with that. Feel free to rewind if you thought I went too fast, but it's pretty straightforward stuff. This is probably one of the easier softwares you will use. Oops, my bad. And yeah, that's about it. I just want to give you a quick rundown on how to tackle 3D Coat.